Hi, welcome to FTCR. Today we are going to talk about Sonic Prime. We have one sentence of information about it, so let's see how long this video goes for. I hope you're all primed for this conversation, because with me, I'm Meekness fan, by the way. With me today, we have Smoothies.
Hi.
I was looking at your Discord thing and I almost read out Smooms, and I'm like, that makes no sense.
Smooms.
We have Stefan with us.
My name is Sonic Prime.
And we have David the Lurker, Sonic Retro Administrator.
That's right. That's right. That means I know everything about Sonic. I've never gotten anything wrong ever.
Exactly. I just wanted to toss that one out just to see how you reacted.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're not someone who spent all of yesterday reading about this and talking about it in 20 Discord servers, Sonic Prime is an upcoming 3D animated children's television series based on the Sonic the Hedgehog series, co-produced by Sega, Netflix Animation, Wild Brain, and Man of Action Entertainment. It is scheduled for a 2022 premiere on Netflix and will have 24 episodes in its first season.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
No, in the series, the fate of a multiverse rests in Sonic's gloved hands. The show will have themes of self-discovery and redemption. It is aimed at children ages 6 to 11 years, as well as longtime fans of the series. If you're a longtime fan of the series, still 6 to 11, fuck you. Anyway, let's talk about Sonic Prime.
Oh, okay. So a longtime fan, I'm assuming, would be more than a decade. So that means, like, if you're 13, maybe you could be into it. If you've been a fan since 3, I don't know. I mean, I gotta figure out the brackets here, the graph. I gotta figure out exactly who's not allowed to watch this.
Yeah. If you look at this chart of the ages of kids, oh no.
Oh man, yes.
I was really excited to talk about this with you guys.
Oh yeah,
because there's literally only one interesting thing we know about it. I can't wait to see where it went.
Oh, it's got a logo.
It does have a logo.
Oh man, we should talk about the logo first, because that's all we've got.
This game. I'll say it is a cool logo. I am a sucker for when logos are like smashed to bits in some way, because it's like I know it, and it is like the most cheap way of showing like, oh, shit's going down. But I'm like, it looks cool. It looks cool that you destroy an iconic logo.
Someone allowed the style book to get to such a state of tatter and disrepair that they're like, yeah, just break the fucking logo. We don't care anymore.
That's right. They broke it right. I guess where the O is, looks like, just fractured out from there.
Yeah, the werehog just like slammed it, kept on going.
I was gonna make that joke. The Unleashed logo was a bit tattered, wasn't it? Kind of.
Sure,
a little bit.
I believe you.
That was I think the Unleashed part, but I don't remember the Sonic looking destroyed.
Right.
Boom was kind of chipped, but that was just the word boom.
Yeah. Usually Sonic is preserved in ember or amber.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Depends which word you want. Oh, jeez.
The prime part gives me like really big SA1 background vibes.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, like the SA1 like title screen.
Right.
Yeah, the title screen. It's all like sky.
That makes
Please
sense.
don't take this out of context, but when I woke up this morning and saw this logo, I was just staring at the piece so much because I was like, "What the fuck? Is it warping in? Is it After Effects?" And then I read the plot summary, so I'm guessing that's what it'll look like when they multiverse.
I mean, that makes sense. You know, like remember the TV show Sliders? I remember the TV show Sliders. It was on in the 90s, and it was about, you know, these 4 people hopping from universe to universe, and they would jump in through the giant portal, and it was 90s CG, very bad TV 90s CG, but it was fun, and that kind of, you know, sort of has the same effect, kind of like this has got like a bit of a prism. It definitely feels like it's meant to be that, unless they're forced to change the look and then the logo doesn't make sense anymore.
I'm googling Sliders. I'm sorry. Is this discount American Doctor Who? Is that what this is?
No. Because Doctor Who is about traveling through space and time. In Sliders, they don't travel through space and time. They go to different alternate universes, which ties into the plot summary of Sonic Prime.
When I heard that, I thought you were talking about Quantum Leap. I thought you were talking about Quantum Leap.
No, I mean Quantum Leap is also time travel. Sliders is not time travel. It is multiversal travel.
Whatever.
Of course. How silly could I
And
have
Doctor
been?
Who is time and space. So,
The only thing we know is that it sounds like they're going into the Sonic verse. So it's like,
yeah.
So it's like, but I guess the interesting thing is that, I mean, with a show like this, like when they do I have a feeling it's not going to be like, oh, we're going to see different recognizable versions of Sonic. Like if we are going to do that, it's probably every version of Sonic is going to be like a completely new creation. Like it feels like, especially considering the creative talent that we got right now, which we'll get into in a bit, that they're going to they're going to go deep cuts and be like, oh, it's this Sonic from this universe and this Sonic. Like that does not feel like they're going to go like, oh, we're going to see the AOSTH inside AM Sonic. I'm like, no, I don't think they're going to go that way.
I'm inclined to agree with that assessment. I think people who are hoping for that, I wish I had your positivity in that look.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that also would pose the question: if they don't do that, what's the point?
The point is,
Spider-Verse made a lot of money, so they're like,
but Spider-Verse is still based on like pre-existing versions for the most part of Spider-Man, right? Like regular Spider-Man.
All the characters in Spider-Verse are like, they're based on like characters from comics and stuff, but like ultimately but the whole idea is that just that idea of multiverses and just exploring alternate versions of alternate characters, like it doesn't matter if they are like, I mean, they don't realize that that part of that charm is that like they're other characters that you recognize and stuff like that, but they're just kind of taking that, but I guess because since they don't want to deal with all of the quote unquote legal loops that they'd have to go through to do all that, so they're just like, screw it, just do the I mean, like Sonic Boom did that. Like Sonic Boom had like a couple episodes where they do like, alternate like stuff like that, but it's just an alternate version of that universe rather than any reference to anything else.
Well, how many legal loopholes would they really have to go through for, a lot of the main ones? You think about, because first off, we got to mention WildBrain is involved in the production. They're the animation studio, right? WildBrain.
No, I think Man of see, the fusing is that there's both WildBrain and Man of Action are both kind of the main production. But at least from what I've looked into, it feels like Man of Action is going to be the main guys in charge of the creative and animation side, and WildBrain is like the production like funding side.
Well, let's look at what does the press release say?
I'm glad you asked, David. I happen to have it open just in case. The 24 episode animated.
You might look at the third dot. Look at the third dot.
The series will be animated at WildBrains' Vancouver studio, and Sega and WildBrain will jointly participate across production, distribution, and licensing.
Ooh.
Man of Action Entertainment, creators of Ben 10, and the characters and team in the Academy Award-winning feature Big Hero 6, and I still think that show hasn't surfaced, have been brought on as showrunners and executive producers. So I assume that means WildBrain is largely handling the looks, and Man of Action, for some reason, is here
as well
to do the writing.
Yeah, that's what I assume. Okay, based
so,
on that, it's like, okay, Man of Action is going to be also. You mentioned the Big Hero 6 is the Big Hero 6 has been out for years. That show. And actually, I will say, because the thing about that's the weird thing about Man of Action is that they are such a mixed bag of a studio that it's like I don't feel joy and I don't feel trepidation about their involvement. I'm just like, okay, because I mean, if you read classic Ben 10 is great. They did Earth Mightiest Heroes, which is really great. They followed that up with Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers Assemble, which for the most part are just kind of they're okay superhero series. They got better as they went on, but there's nothing standout-ish like Earth Mightiest Heroes, for example. Yeah, they did the Big Hero 6 series, which is actually legitimately really good. Everything I've seen of it, I think that they capture the essence of that, the movie, and they continue the story, and they do it all very well. But then they also did Mega Man Fully Charged, which is just it's just a very generic kids show with Mega Man slapped on it.
If you look at the Man of Action Twitter, the very first 2 words in their bio is think tank.
Oh, that's a good
That does not fill me with hope.
Oh,
I love that one. That's good.
Well,
that's a good stretch of words.
Maybe that describes their office, right? It's in an actual tank, and they get to think in it.
If their Twitter's anything to go by, they haven't tweeted since 2019, and they didn't even retweet the Sonic Prime announcement.
That's what I was waiting to say.
Yeah.
It's very good when your showrunners can't be bothered to tweet out they're making a show.
They're too busy making it, man. They're doing the important work, dude.
Oh man, 24. Okay, so it's Wild Brain, it's Man of Action, it's Netflix. Okay, so we know Netflix likes to throw money at things, even if they're bad. But they also like to throw money at things that they think will be good. Sega also likes to throw money at things that end up being bad, but also sometimes at things that are good. Now, see, Wild Brain, I feel like is the wild card. I know you mentioned the legalities of trying to incorporate different versions of Sonic. Now, because if you go through the history, Wild Brain was, once upon a time, was DiC Animation, right? Everything that DiC made, Wild Brain owns, and DiC made three Sonic the Hedgehog television series.
Count them. There's 3. Count them.
The Saturday Morning Show, Adventures of, and Sonic Underground. So, assumedly, if Sega owns part of it and DiC owned part of it, then if Wild Brain and Sega are working together, they own 100% of it, which means they could do whatever they want with those shows. Then something like Sonic X, that was made by TMS. TMS is owned by Sega Sammy, so that should be pretty much in the clear. And I sincerely doubt there are any legal issues regarding Sonic Boom. So there are 5 TV shows that I think would be very easily accessible from a legal standpoint, but that doesn't mean they would use it from a storytelling standpoint. But when it comes to the legal side of things, those are 5 continuities, 5 TV shows that are in the clear, I would assume, that could be used hypothetically in the show. Yes.
I wish I felt more excited by you saying that, but I'm just here like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, like because even with that, I'm like, yeah, because I just don't see them doing it, just because, especially since they're, I mean, to us they are like much more of a big deal, but it feels like, yeah, like I don't like they're making this new series, even if they are going multiverse wise. I don't see them thinking, oh, we're gonna put Sonic Boom Sonic in this. And it feels like maybe they could do that, but just this doesn't feel like something like they want to do, or they're just going to put the effort in. It feels like it's more easier for them to just be like, oh, just make up your own Sonics and like make up your own Sonic OCs and have them like meet each other like that. Yeah.
To be fair, we don't know what they want to do, because all we have is a single sentence involving Sonic's gloved hands, also a journey of self-discovery and redemption, which probably means, because it says, oh, the fate of a strange new multiverse. Now, I know the word new implies maybe it is all just random versions of Sonic that they made for the show, but it could also be Sonic is aware of a multiverse that now exists. But if it's self-discovery and redemption, I'm guessing Sonic broke it and realizes, oh, I have to fix this. I feel like that can be that's the only thing I can think of, right?
I guarantee you, episode 1 is Eggman being like, I got a big machine, and Sonic's cocky, and he's like, I'm gonna go smash it, and Tails is like, no, think about it. And he's like, no, we've done this how many times, Tails? Come on, man, let's go.
So Sonic,
where'd you get the script?
He rolls into it, and Eggman's like, you fool, you can't hit it from that side. And Sonic goes, what? And then he sees all the multiverse Sonics that are like, oh no, what have you done? You should have thought before you did something. And then like episode 2, he's like, oh, this is all my fault. If only I'd thought before I did anything.
I was supposed to be the fastest, but I wasn't fast enough to save my buddy.
Oh man, what am I gonna do?
I don't think it is gonna be Sonic Verse. I think it's gonna be. I think this is Sega cashing in on Mania.
What do you?
Oh,
cashing in on Mania.
Yeah.
What? They're gonna jump through the Sonic rings and go to all the old Sonic stages.
Yep. I think this is just. It says draws upon the keystones of the brand, and I don't really think that the TV shows are keystones of the brand.
I mean, they still sell DVDs of every show. Well, yeah, no, of every show, even Underground. Even then.
I mean,
you can walk into a Walmart look at a giant $5 DVD bin and go, I wonder what's in here, and you reach your hand in, and then you'll pull out a disc of some poorly drawn Sonic art.
That's how I define Keystone.
In the middle of the pandemic, I reached my hand gingerly into the DVD mass.
But I guess
Dr. Doolittle too.
Hey, they still air Sat AM on what's that movie station? It's not HBO. It's not Cinemax. It's the other one.
They still air that TV? Show on that TV channel I don't remember the name of.
No, but I mean, like, I can't think of it. But they air reruns of Sat AM. I mean, AOSTH still is syndicated. I guess no one thinks of Underground. Sonic X was on the air for like a solid decade and a half. Sonic X defined a lot of childhoods for people who grew up with Sonic in that era. I think they're a bit more relevant than you might realize. At least, like, I would say Sonic X and Sonic Boom is new, so it's somewhat relevant,
To add to your point, it's way easier to reuse characters than it is to make new ones, just as it is to make new environments. So having Sonic go to a bunch of different environments would really up the budget a lot, and I don't see them doing that. So it would just be easier to have a bunch of different Sonics.
Especially considering that, like, yeah, like they've never really, I mean, all the cartoon, like, I mean, there has never been a Green Hill in any of the Sonic cartoons. It's like every cartoon has done, like, original, like AOSTH has their kind of original weird polygonal worlds. AOS2H. Sat AM has its forests and, like, the mechanical city. Underground, again, another mechanical city. X is the human world, and then all the weird planets, and then Boom is just the one island. So it's like on the one hand, it'd be like, oh, maybe this is their opportunity to do, like, oh yeah, to have, like, a Green Hill to show, like, all of, like, the traditional, like, Sonic worlds that we know, or, like, that are more similar to Sonic zones, and have them live in, like, have them, like, habitat that. But also, on the other hand, you could very easily believe that, oh, they're just going to create a new world for them to live in, just like the island from Boom.
There's a reason why that joke in Sonic Boom exists, where they say, imagine more episodes of the same 20 characters in 4 locations or whatever. I forget how it goes, but, like, there's a reason for that.
The same 8 characters in the same 4 locations.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. It's because of budget.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, there is budget, but I guess we don't really know how much money they're spending on this, and also, if it is just a handful of different universes, it's not like, oh, it's a new Sonic universe every episode. It might be like, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a thing where, oh, let's say hypothetically, you have Game Sonic and he jumps through a portal and boom, he's in the Saturday morning series, right? And the forest kind of looks like Green Hill, and Robotropolis kind of looks like the thing that like they might cheat. They might go cheap when it comes to the reusing visuals, which would then make old school Sonic fans who were like, I can't wait to see Princess Sally, get very upset when it's just a brown version of Amy Rose. I don't know.
Oh no.
I guess that makes me ask a question, which technically ties to budget, but it's more just a curiosity. This is probably going to be a CG show, right?
No, I thought they already said it is.
Yeah.
Did they?
Do we know?
Yeah, 3D animated children's television series. Yeah, it's CG.
Oh,
there you go.
Right. I mean,
I was just so focused on the gloved hand that I didn't even notice that part.
Right. Well, but
I feel like if we knew it was a 2D, and I feel like people would have been talking about it more if it was a 2D animated show, especially because that if they were gonna do a 2D animated, they probably would have I would have been shocked if they went for a 2D animated series and didn't involve Tyson in some way. Just because it feels like that would be like an easy no-brainer of just, even getting him in like some kind of consultant. But then the fact that, that it's very clear that he's not involved. So it's like, they're doing CG. Man of Action, they've done a couple 2D, but for the most part, they're known for Like, yeah, like they do a lot of CG stuff. Like, yeah, because WildBrain also worked on Mega Man Fully Charged. So
I mean, maybe
Gotcha.
maybe
I just didn't see anyone
Oh.
talk about it either way, so I just want to make sure. That's all.
Right. Maybe they didn't ask Tyson because they're like, we have our own people. Because
Also, yeah,
because like Tyson has worked in CG. He kind of helped make a Sonic movie.
Well, I mean, he didn't.
What?
He yeah, and even then he didn't. Yeah, he didn't design. I mean, he designed, but that was in like a two. Yeah, he designed it in a 2D like perspective. Yeah, he had, at least as far. I mean, it's very clear that he probably has like some experience with doing like 3D in some way. But yeah, it's like, yeah, he's still, even then he's still mostly just 2D focused.
All right.
I think the two things that I think the two big questions I have wondering about the series is, first, how much story versus comedy is this series going to end up being? Because I know that's like a big sticking point with people, is like, how much is it going to be just episodic comedy, and how much is it going to be like, an interconnecting story? It feels like it's probably going to be more of like a bridge between the two, rather than like a very deep plot, but it's still like have those like episodic needs, especially since it is a Netflix series, so they don't have to worry about that too. Like, they don't have to worry about keeping everything like they're not making it for like syndication, so it's like they might be, so like they're designing it in such a way of like, oh, we'll have like a lot of standalone stuff, but overall we're still kind of like following a story.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's gonna be at least semi-episodic, because it's a Netflix show, which means people are gonna watch all the episodes in a row, so it's gonna have some sort of overarching story to it.
Ooh, I mean that's exciting. We haven't really, we haven't had that in a while. You could, if you think about all the Sonic shows, SatAM kind of did it with season 2, and Sonic X, I guess, did it as well, and that's about it. You know, everything else is pretty standalone. Not
but it shows that it works. You know, so
yeah. No, I would be excited. I know a lot of people who are like, oh, Sonic the Hedgehog, video game character. We don't care about the story, but I mean, even the creators cared about the story when they were working on the original game in 1991. And there's a lot of potential with the cast of characters that exist across the pantheon of Sonic. So
that's the other question I want to have is, are they going to actually make use of that pantheon of characters? Because it's like, yeah, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Styx, Eggman, Orbot, Cubot, like they're all their characters, and like you see them and they're like, oh yeah, that is like those characters, and you know, like, you just watching them, you know who they are. Where like, I mean, like, that's one of the issues about Mega Man Fully Charged, is that, again, like they aren't really like those Mega Man characters. Like they feel like just generic characters that they're like with those names slapped on, like the names and designs slapped on. So it's like, oh, will these, like, not only will like the characters that we see like actually feel like the characters that we know and love,
yeah,
but also will like I don't want just Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Eggman again. I want Shadow Rouge and Omega. I want the Chaotix. I want Cream. I want maybe even Blaze and Silver. I want them to make use of this cast that they have, and have them like be involved. I don't want to just stick with the simple 4, 5, and then introduce a whole bunch of random new characters, because it's like, you have a good cast, just it's not hard to just make use of them and have them do stuff, and like, you can create a new world as long as you have like these characters like inhabited and do things. Lastly, because that was the thing with Boom. It's like, oh, you have Shadow appear twice, you have Metal Sonic appear once, you have Vector appear once, and it's like, that's it. It's just they show up and like they do something for that one time, but then they don't do anything else, and it's like, why don't you use them? Like, there is like literally no reason why they didn't use them more, other than they just didn't feel like it, because I guess they don't care about them.
Yeah.
I want to throw out one dark prediction for this show that's about multiverses and dimension hopping. The characters...
Careful, this is for ages 6 through 11. Don't get too dark.
The characters that will make the most sense to appear in a show like this, such as Silver and Blaze, will not. That is my dark prediction. You will not see a justifiable Blaze or Silver existence.
We're jumping through dimensions, Chris. They have every reason to show up.
Well, you would think...
Here, make Amy the leader of the Resistance and have Silver be here. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Oh, right.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Continue off of forces, yeah.
At the very least, it would make sense.
What a great idea.
At the very least, you're right. It would make sense for Blaze to be there because she is literally in another dimension. That's her backstory. So, like, that would be, even if they ignored everything else and they made 24 new Sonic universes, like, Blaze exists as part of the games. It's like, look, it's an alternate universe. Silver, he's a time traveler. I could see them ignoring him, being like, well, there's no time travel here. We're just jumping through portals.
Yeah.
But of course, yeah, there's also the question of, like, how much do the creators, like, I mean, because it does feel like Sega's not going to be the one to be like, you need to include all of the, like, it very much feels like, especially considering, like, yeah, like the relationship with Boom, it's like, have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Eggman in there at least. Everybody else, we don't really care. Do whatever you want. So it's basically up to the writers and creatives if they want to include, like, I feel like, yeah, Sega isn't going to be like, oh, use all of these characters. They're just like, we don't care. It's up to you. It's like that, which is basically like with all like the Mania stuff. It's like they're like, include these very specific things, but literally everything else, it's all up to you. And because like the Mania team care about all of these little details, they'll throw them all in, whether it's in the game itself or in the Mania Adventures shorts. So it's like, yeah, it's very much up to, and then yeah, like with the Boom creators, like the writers, like they very clearly care about a lot of stuff, but it's also clear that there's a lot of elements that they don't care as much. Yeah, it's like it still just kind of baffles me. Just like, oh, you bring in Vector for one episode. It's like, because if he wasn't there, you could be like, oh, maybe Sega didn't want them to have him in, but then they put him in. So it's like, oh, there is no issue with putting these characters in. You just didn't want to. So it's like, why? What was the reason? And there was literally no they never gave an explanation why they never brought anybody else in, and that still bugs me. It still bugs me to this very day.
They just didn't wanna. That's all you're gonna get.
I think
because Bill Friedberger, what's his last name?
Freeberger likes his comedy chimp.
Bill Friedberger was sitting there going, I'm making some jokes, guys. I'm making some jokes. That's all I need. When I met him once, I asked, like, he talked about Boom a little bit, and he was like, oh yeah, because the last show, Sonic X, that was more action oriented, so we wanted to go the other way, and that's why Boom is funny. And I was like, oh, okay. If you I feel like you could do both. Both is probably the right answer.
I feel like 2010 to 2020 was the humor era of Sonic, and I feel like maybe that's coming to an end. You could call it the Sonic the Comic era.
No, you can't, because Sonic the Comic was very successful.
The Sonic the Comic era. Let's roll with it, boys. I think
it feels like that's done.
I think my hope for Sonic Prime. I don't generally want things so just like structured in a TV show, but I just look at the episode count and the fact that it is about multiverse hopping, and I just think it'd be nice if like they go to a new place, right? If that's what's happening here. And there's like a 4-episode story arc and they really spend some time there and hang out with the characters. My hope is it's kind of more like what Steven was saying, where they go to different, I don't know, game time zones or places and like explore the story. Maybe if this is more, I don't know, Generation Z or Mania E, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's going to be like a Generations Mania thing, especially since Generations already has a bunch of 3D assets that could be reused.
But Generations isn't a multiverse, it's time travel.
It doesn't matter.
It's not even
the
real
series
time
does
travel.
not care. Do you think Izuka cares?
Look at classic Sonic and Forces when Tails is like, who are you? Dimension? What? Okay, cool. Let's go.
That is
David clearly explained this as a pocket universe and Forces.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't watch that video.
How many views does it have? 7?
Not for me, my friend.
I think it's up to 8.
Oh, that's good. Probably because I keep on hawking it and no one's watching it.
You keep checking the comments like, has anyone responded yet? Okay,
Please.
maybe next day.
I really want someone to argue with me.
there is of course like the whole thing. I mean, like, because this announcement comes days after, like pretty much days, about a weekish after Roger confirmed to step down.
That's right. He's out. He's gone.
He's out. So it's like now it's like, oh, they're going for so now it very much feels like, oh, this is going to be like a fresh start of like, oh, we got a new Sonic. Probably like a whole, I mean, because they basically recast they've just gone nuts with recasting like so many characters. Like Team Sonic Racing had like half of the cast be completely different, so it's like I could very clearly see again in this series having a whole other new cast. It's like, oh, we don't need to worry about like maybe they're like, oh, we don't need to stick with our like game cast and that crew in that studio, and we can be like, oh, we can find like maybe this is when they go, oh, we find like quote unquote professional voice actors, and they decide to go that route.
Oh, but no one's ever.
But there is also the possibility of like maybe they want to make this a separate thing and do that like and have those voice actors to be like, oh, this is a separate thing. I mean, like this is a separate multiverse from the games, and then the games end up like having a different cast on their own, or they end up borrowing it and maybe stick with the quote unquote cheaper voice actors because I mean Sega wants to save some money. It's like when people said that, oh, do you think Ben Schwartz will come back? They'll bring him back to play Sonic, but then it's also like does Sega want to spend that much money to bring him back?
How much does Ben Schwartz cost? Like, we know he's in the movie, like the movie was big and etc. But I mean, he was he was in the Rise of TMNT and he was in DuckTales, and I don't know how much he got paid for DuckTales.
I mean, Nickelodeon and Disney money is different than Sega money.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like
but
Disney
this is Netflix money too.
These people 7 figures to voice Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, obviously not a lot. Like obviously not a lot, but it's like it you can get. I mean, just knowing from like what some like what you see like online, like you clearly tell that like what the voice actors for the games get like. It see like from what people heard, it's like, oh yeah, the people who voice act in the games get paid like significantly less than like the named SAG actors that are in like those cartoon series.
Right. I think Roger once described Sonic as his weekend beer money, but he really liked doing a character kind of thing. Right. And if you remember when Ryan almost got recast for Generations,
I
think he said they were basically trying to pay him peanuts, so you can kind of get an idea. Obviously, the TV show is a whole different thing.
Right.
But if you just look at how much Sega's willing to pay for the games.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Tara Strong voice Tails in the new cartoon.
Let's go.
I'll be Tails. I'll do it for cheap.
How much would you charge them, David?
Oh man, at least 7 chili dogs.
That's not a lot. You should value yourself more.
I want David. I want a series with David as Tails and Skylar as Sonic.
I don't.
Why hasn't nobody made that yet?
You just
because
join a Discord call sometime for that.
Right. Oh man. What if I just did all the characters?
Sonic and Tails go to Taco Bell to experience the potatoes.
No, they go to Del Taco.
Right.
David, are you a Del Taco guy now?
I've been going to Taco Bell. Still getting that Baja. The Baja Blast. Yeah. Right, I don't know if there's Del Tacos around where I am right now. There used to be one down the street, but I don't know if there's any nearby here.
Right.
I do think it is very telling that they have confirmed that the series is coming in.
Stefan, we're talking about Taco Bell.
Sorry. Oh man,
go on.
I wonder that the series is coming in 2022, not this year. So it's like, so we know that they are like taking their like we don't even know if it's gonna be early 2022 or the end. So it's like they're very clearly still very deep in production and developing. So it's like we got a while for it, and it's like, this year they aren't making the series to coincide with the 30th anniversary, whatever ends up happening this year. So it's like, so you already know like from that it's like, this series isn't specifically maybe this is like it in some way maybe it connects to what after if something comes out by the end of this year, maybe this is like a response to this is like after those after that game, or this is just a completely separate thing from whatever plan they have for the games.
I just, for some reason, I don't see the TV show being a continuation or extension of any specific game in the way that IDW was. I think because of the amount of time it takes to create a television show, you're going to be out of step, because the idea of whatever the next Sonic game is could radically change by the time the TV show is ready to go. I feel like that would be a little too unsafe. That's not the right word, but I'm going to use it. I do wonder if the TV show it would tie in to any degree with the movie universe, because initially when there were initially when it was like, oh, there's a new show coming 2022, I was wondering if maybe it did tie into the movie, because generally I mean, there's 10 million TV shows connected to movies, and it would make sense. Like, here's a Sonic spin-off. If it takes place after the second movie, like, you would have Tails, assumedly Knuckles, and other Sonic things. So you could do a Sonic show that takes place in the movie and do it in a convenient way that ignores, or that the third movie could ignore it completely, because of course they wouldn't work together. But if it is meant to be something else, because I don't know if a show called Sonic Prime dealing with a Sonic multiverse would actually, if the home base would be the film universe, if at the very least there's a two-parter where maybe they do bring in Ben Schwartz to be that Sonic, and like they saved up to pay him, and he's the only one that gets money and everyone else gets the peanuts.
That'd be the monkey paw for
right. I don't know, but what do you
for a Sad AM appearance? It's like, we got movie Sonic. James Marsden's here. Look at him. He's on the cop.
Yeah, movie Sonic feels like, if there is going to be any Sonic that's recognizable that's going to show up, it feels like movie Sonic. And even then, I feel like that would just be like a cameo or a one-episode thing, because also that, Paramount and those production companies that worked on the movie aren't like mentioned anywhere. So
right.
it's like we know, especially since like all like the talk and stuff, it's like, oh, we know Paramount like in that group are very much more connected to that movie than even Sega is. So it feels like Sega would need to like do a bit more like poking and prodding in order to like get that Sonic, or get them to like listen to them and just be like, oh, do this. Or they can be like, because also like Sega would likes to do things the easy way. Like if it is more trouble to go and poke and prod them to have them use movie Sonic, then they'll just not use movie Sonic and be like, oh, we don't need to. It's like it's too much work.
But if they don't use any pre-existing Sonics, are we really just gonna have like a sea of movie parodies?
Sonic with a hat. Sonic with a hat.
Yeah, like, is it going to be, this is a Sonic that's a parody of Pirates of the Caribbean, and this is a Sonic that's a parody of the Power Rangers.
No,
and this
I don't
is
think
a
that'll
Sonic
happen.
that's a parody of Cloverfield.
Now you're thinking the correct way here.
I would be a little, because going back to Sliders, one of the issues with the third season was that they started pushing having episodes that were just a pastiche of current popular movie or TV show. So like you have the episode where they're running into dinosaurs, and you have the movie that's kind of like, or an episode where it's like, oh, it's a little bit of a horror thing. Like, I forget all the examples, but like it definitely was slipping into that. And if you need to populate a bunch of different Sonic worlds, you're going to slip into that territory. Do I need to remind you of issue 19 of the Archie Sonic the Hedgehog comic? Which
yes, because
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what that one is.
that is Night of 1,000 Hedgehogs. Okay, so to establish one.
All right, everyone strap in.
Yes, so because after this announcement and the premise was revealed, I've been sitting here wondering if Ken Penders is getting ready to sue some people.
Yes.
Because issue 11, right, of Sonic the Hedgehog.
The one where Evil Sonic first appears.
Right, that's so issue.
In Evil, there's going to be an Evil Sonic in this series.
Yeah.
You know that for a fact.
Yes. Okay. So issue 11, The Good, the Bad, and the Hedgehog, is that introduces Evil Sonic, and he's on an evil Mobius with evil Sally, and there's a good Robotnik. And then issue 19 is the follow-up, which is the Night of 1,000 Sonics, where Sonic meets a half roboticized version of himself, which is like some Terminator vibes. But then there's also cannon fodder where there's 1,000 Sonics, and they're all like, they're on the cover you can see the Cowboy Sonic and the Space Sonic and a Pirate Sonic and a Viking Sonic, and there's a Batman Sonic and a Superman Sonic, and there's a Hulk Sonic and just a Strongman Sonic and like Newsboy Sonic. Like, they're just all very quick like bop 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 parody of things you recognize, because it doesn't matter. I don't want that to then become a 24-episode TV show, because those Sonics aren't interesting. They don't exist, really. And when, later on down the line, when Dan Slott started doing the Sonic Zone stories, which introduced Sonic, the Zone Cop, which is an alternate version of Sonic that is perpendicular to all the other multiverse, so he stands on the side It's weird. Like
people seem to forget that years before he wrote Shattered Dimensions and Spider-Verse, Dan Slott wrote the Sonic Zone Wars comic, which was basically into the Sonic-verse.
Right, but I mean, that was also full of parody, because it was like, hey, do you like Ally McBeal? Of course you don't. You're a 12-year-old boy. Well, here's a parody of Ally McBeal. I hope you enjoy it.
This is just like Sonic Boom.
Or like, the Sailor Moon. There was a Sailor Sally Moon.
Sally Moon.
Right, and then Tuxedo Nux, who should have been called Nuxedo Mask, but apparently they're bad at puns. And so it was all like, hey, do you know current thing or it was just here's a brief parody because we got nothing else to do. It felt more like filling time as opposed to anything super interesting. Now there are a couple stories that do use the multiverse concept well, and later on Ian Flynn made good use of it with his arc where with Scourge and the anti-Mobius characters and Rosie the Rascal and all that stuff. Like you can do interesting things with it, but you do have to kind of build on it a little bit. You don't want 30 universes and then go, hey, let's do this. If they used pre-existing Sonic canons, then you've already have some of the legwork done where the characters are established, they've been built, you can care about them. You have to be a very talented writer to make someone care about an entire universe in 22 minutes before you move on to the next one. And I don't know if they can really do that, especially since this is a television program aimed at 6 to 11-year-olds plus legacy Sonic fans.
Plus, in that instance, it's relying on shows that aren't on Netflix currently also. Like Boom's on Hulu, if we're like hanging out with the TV Sonics as an early example, right?
Yeah, but I mean, because I know other Sonic shows have circled through on Netflix, or cycled through. I know Sat AM used to be on there. AOS TH is on there. Sonic X is on there now, right? Even though Sonic X is also on Hulu.
X are on there as of tonight, and AOSTH and Boom are on Hulu, I think.
Right, maybe? And Underground used to be on Netflix.
And Sonic X is all on YouTube on TMS's channel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, do they want something super serendipitous where it's like all these versions of Sonic are in one place, or is it enough to be like, hey, we're going to kind of use this one world you already know, but we're not going to worry too much about all the details, which will of course infuriate some people. And it's like, if you want to, because let's say they hypothetically do the Freedom Fighters, is it going to be?
That's not going to happen.
Wild Brain and Sega both are there. That's the one thing that makes me wonder, will they just drag Sally out and show her for half a second?
If they are releasing this cartoon in Japan, no. They're not going to show up.
Yeah, but I mean, there are things in the Sonic movie that I'm pretty sure Sega of Japan would have said no to, but it existed.
They were very small hints. They weren't, like, in the spotlight.
Well, I don't even... I mean... the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog ever looked different is something I feel like Sega of Japan would have said no to. And I mean, there definitely seemed to be rumors that like, they're not too happy with the original design. Of course, everyone wasn't happy.
I think we're in
Sega
the
is also
here.
very. Sorry to interrupt, but Sega's also very stupid when it comes to licensing their character out, as in they don't even own the music to Sonic's first 2 games.
Right. Well,
and half of the third game.
Yeah.
And to that point, like we said, Paramount is like mostly handling the Sonic movie thing, right? So.
Right,
and mainly focused on America. Like they weren't really thinking about the Japanese side. And to be fair, even on this side, and with Prime, it doesn't really feel like they're looking at it from a Japanese point. This does just kind of like Boom. This very much feels like an American focused property.
Right. So Sega Japan might not be paying attention as much, care as much, so there might be weird things that are thrown in. I'm not saying 100% yes, we're getting the Freedom Fighters, because part of me is like, I really don't want them to be there. But I think that's also because if they were brought back, I kind of would want them to be brought back so then their story could end and we never have to deal with it again, and a giant crossover series might not be the way to do that.
Especially in season 1 of it.
Right, and I mean,
yes,
there is so
Also, I feel like the existence of the IDW comics is also a thing of like, oh, Sega, like they're mostly quote unquote hands off, but they also are very hands on in certain ways. Like how with the IDW comics, they're like, oh, you need to follow the whole two worlds theory, but Ian Flynn doesn't want to do that, so he basically just kind of like writes around it, like, oh, they're all on this alien animal planet, and they reference the events of like the previous games, but they don't really go so far like into quote unquote like to actually literally referencing them, because they're like, oh yeah, it wouldn't make sense if this is not on Earth, but Sega said no, so it's like, oh, we got to work around. There's like no, all of the locations in that comic are basically completely new, because most of the most iconic ones are technically on Earth, so it's either on Earth or they're in the classic universe, so he basically has to make up like as he goes along. So Sega are still fairly strict with certain things, so it's like, how lenient are they going to be with something like Prime, no matter if they're doing multiverses or not?
Well, I mean, I guess it really depends on the way the contract is written. You know, it could be that IDW bent over backwards and said, yeah, you can control things that you probably shouldn't, while Netflix is like, we have more money than you, Sega, so we're going to call the shots. And if we really want Sonic to say, I live only on the planet Earth, we're going to let it have that happen.
I want that to be a line in the show so bad.
The tea leaves I have been reading after looking at this cover, I'm going to tell you exactly how this series will go. Okay. Sonic is going to be the only one sucked into the Zoink hole, and as he pops out throughout various things, he'll be in various themed fun things. You're getting Storybook with the self-aware Sonic in this series. That's how I see it now.
Yeah.
He'll go to the Pirate Zone, he'll go to the Great Wall of China Zone, and he'll be like, oh man, I'm here on the scene. Uh-oh. Great Wall of China Eggman, let's stop him. And then he'll get zoinked into another yoink hole.
Well, they'll make
Spoink his doink.
They'll make a very bad joke about fortune cookies.
If we're on the topic of things we don't want, if we're talking about redemption, I do not want this to be redemption in the sense of revisiting / making fun of bad parts in Sonic's history. Like if that's how you define redemption, as in, hey, that was like being full face on the camera on a TV show. Hey, wasn't that weird?
Like Sonic's thinking about all the things he's done, and then him kissing the princess pops up. He's like, oh no! Well, the princess kissing him.
It's like, she's
that
not my
weird.
type.
Just my type.
Sonic's type
I feel
are they're blonde singers in red dresses. It's his only type. Not Elise.
I feel like that whole like this show will have tackle themes of self-discovery and redemption. I feel like that's just a very like it's always at the very vague like
buzzwords.
The buzzword log line that like executives use to sell, or executives or creators use to sell a show, rather than like what it's actually about. Like I have a feeling like it's like that's like very like I don't even think it's gonna be like actual redemption. Like probably something like Sonic saving the like it's be like Sonic discovering things about himself, or Sonic saving the day. Like that's probably what they mean by redemption. I don't think it's gonna be like something very deep and something about Sonic kind of like fixing something, or like making good from a mistake that he made. I think it's just Sonic does good, and sometimes doing good and fighting evil counts as redemption in a very vague roundabout way. But it's like it works for a log line that'll sell a series, so they don't care. It's selling a series to 6 to 11-year-olds again, so it's like
again.
I don't really take all of that. Like I don't really take that seriously. It's mostly just it'll be about scouring the multiverse in some way is pretty much the only real sense of information we got here.
Thankfully, I think that's correct.
Yeah. Basically, we need to take more notes from Mike Pollock.
Mike, what?
We should always take more notes from Mike.
Do you want to read his tweet from today?
Oh, okay. I'm sure it's not controversial.
It's really good, actually. It's what Mike's always talking about, is essentially thank you so much for writing entire essays based on a sentence of information, which is what we did today.
Oh, it is. Hey, we do know one other piece of information. We know at least one writer
Oh yeah.
Justin. I'm gonna assume it's Peniston. I'm pretty sure.
Why are you struggling with this name, David? Why don't you just pronounce his name with respect?
Well, clearly, it's because it's got the word pen in his name, followed by is, and then ton.
How disrespectful of you.
Right, so he said that he's been working on the show, he's been writing, and that's all he said. He did mention that he's played Sonic games before. Apparently, he was very much obsessed with the original games on the Genesis, so that is a starting point at the very least.
Game.
Well, he was like, games. Well, right, he said the original Sonic the Hedgehog was pretty much my favorite platform game ever, which to me, what?
It's just the one game. It's just the first game.
Right, which is of course the best game. So I'm okay with this piece of information.
It does make sense, yeah, because since Man of Action is like a company made up of like comic artists and comic writers, and like I know he's like somebody who does a lot of web comics online, so it is like it does seem like they either he's someone who's already is working at Man of Action right now, or they found like they looked for web comic artists, and they're like they found him and got him.
On his website it says that he wrote 2 episodes of Mega Man Fully Charged and then 1 episode of the recent Ben 10. So he is a
Man of Action guy.
Yes, he's definitely a man, and he's definitely actioned.
I do think it's, well, I was about to say, I do think it's interesting that, they did come out and, like, because you, again, like Mike Pollock says, like, there's a lot of NDAs and people are very, like, secretive and careful with stuff like that, but, the fact that they're like, he was allowed to come out and say, I'm working on it, but since, the fact that pretty much all of the writing team is going to be almost certainly Man of Action people, it's like, I work at Man of Action, they know that, I can say that I'm working on it, it's not going to be a huge... Like, it's not a huge secret or a surprise.
Right. I mean, he's not saying that he's the head writer or anything. He's just a writer. So we don't... Well, Man of Action usually doesn't have quote-unquote showrunners. It's just Man of Action themselves are the showrunner. And it's just kind of like, they just kind of create and write all of the episodes of the series as their group. Yeah. That seems like if you're, I'm going to run a show and you're a think tank of 12 people, how do you have 12 people run a show? It seems like a bad idea. Like, you have 1 or 2 run the show and then you have the other 10 be like, yeah, high five. If you have 12 showrunners, it seems like a lot of mess, because then you're going to have a show that has a fractured identity, just like Sonic the Hedgehog's going to fracture the multiverse.
Oh no.
It ties in. Okay, we should go through... Oh, go on. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, what do you think Prime means?
Hey, that's a good question, isn't it?
That is a good question.
I mean, it's pretty much just kind of like a very vague, like, it's one of those very vague, just kind of like taglines of Prime, because it's like like Sonic Prime, as in like this is like the main Sonic and like a whole group of Sonics, and it's like, I mean, like you've made the joke like Transformers Prime and
Twitch Prime.
It's
Amazon
like,
Prime.
Yeah, Prime's just a very like thing of like it's
Metroid
like
Prime.
Metroid.
I remember. Metroid Prime isn't the first one though. That's technically the second in the timeline.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that had to do with that, but yes.
well, if Prime is meant to be like that, this is the first, the original, it doesn't matter, let's move on. Yeah, there's a lot of uses of Prime.
Well, Prime, like, if you say David back in his prime, that would be David back at his best, right?
Oh, right.
So is this going to be Sonic at his best?
He's never been better.
Well, I mean, it could be it could mean all of those things. If it is focusing on what they call the Prime version of Sonic, which either Dan Slott or Ken Penders could sue over, then it's like, he's the main Sonic, or you're right, he's the main Sonic, and he's meeting all these other Sonics, and he's going to learn about what it is to be Sonic through other Sonics, so that he does become the best version of Sonic, so that in the final episode, when they're all standing together, and there's like thunderstorms and dark clouds, right, and then there's Eggman with all of his versions of Eggman, which may or may not use the name Robotnik at some point as a joke, that they'll all come together, and they'll all turn super, and they'll all fly at the big robot, and the big robot explodes, and he's like, Wow.
Oh, the Eggmen turn super?
No,
and
the
they fly at the robot.
The Sonics all turn super, and they fly at the Eggman.
Oh,
and then the
I had that same thought. I was like, man, he just slipped that one in there, huh?
Oh, although that would be funny if they go to a universe where Sonic's like, oh man, I don't understand those Chaos Emeralds, and Eggman's like, ooh, look at me, I'm super. That'd be good, right?
I'd watch that episode.
That would be a good one. But yeah, so it could be like, oh, so now I am. And then for some reason, all the other Sonics are like, yeah, you are the Prime Sonic, even though they all should have huge egos and be like, no, we're the Prime Sonic. Or, and they have a big fight, which you would think, but...
Hell yeah.
Here's the most important question. You think Eggman's still going to have Orbot and Cubot, or is he going to have 2 new sidekicks, just like every other?
Two new robots that are named after something in quantum physics, quantum mechanics that the writers don't fully understand, I think.
Yeah.
If you go back on interviews, I think Ken Pontek said he had to fight for Orbot and Cubot in Forces, and at Sega Japan we're kind of looking to get past those characters, so you could look at that and say, maybe they won't be here anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of run their course, haven't they? At this point, let's get.
I mean, like, yeah, they were only in. Well, I mean, they're in Boom because, yeah, again, like because Pontek and Graf wrote the Boom, the first Boom game, and they were there, so they're like, oh, we got to put them in the cartoon. So that was kind of the loophole to how they got in there.
If this does end up being AOSTH, SatAM, blah, blah, blah. If we don't have an entire episode dedicated to Scratching Grounder, I'm going to be livid.
Right. I mean, that's... I feel like of the 3 D cartoons, AOSTH is probably the easiest to tap into because it's a little bit goofier. So they could be like, you could have Prime Sonic being like, take a look at this schmuck over here. And meanwhile, AOSTH Sonic is in drag trying to trick normal Sonic for some reason.
I'm in my 50s.
I'm very scared to see Triangle Robotnik in CG.
Oh, I want him so bad.
I would love. I mean, it would be. It would definitely be a moment of fan service to be like, let's just bring out at least one of these old Sonics and polish them off and have them there. AOSTH might be the easiest one to do, even though
and his
they would
mohawk
have to
spines.
Robotnik. So it doesn't have the same baggage that SatAM does, because Sega Japan seems to not like the Freedom Fighters, but they never say anything about Scratch and Grounder, and the rest of the show is Sonic and Tails and Robotnik.
I'm sure if you said Scratch and Grounder to Sega Japan, they'd just say who and then call the police.
Yeah, Yuji Naka didn't even know about Mobius, for crying out loud.
Which I find weird that they don't know. He didn't know what Mobius was. I mean, he did live in the U.S. for a while they were making those games. Did nobody say the word Mobius at him ever? No.
It must have been like the Mobius strip. I know that word.
That's right. I love it when people say the word Mobius came from a mistranslated interview, and I'm like, no, it didn't. Mobius predates everything, and that interview is from 92.
No, Needle Mouse came from a mistranslation.
Well, right. I mean, that one did, yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, no, there was an interview with Yuji Naka to promote Sonic 2, and he's talking about, the new Mobius strip worlds or whatever. And people are like... Or he says Mobius Worlds, because he's talking about the Mobius strip thing in Emerald Hill. And people are like, oh, that's where Mobius comes from. They thought Naka said the planet is Mobius. And then it's like, well, no, Madeline Schroeder made up the word Mobius in 1991 before the first Sonic game came out, and it's in the promotional comic. So that's not what
They
happened.
didn't make that word up, but...
Well, no, she made up... It didn't exist before.
About this.
Like the artist Mobius, he didn't have a name until Madeline Schroeder named him. Yeah, I don't know.
The cartoon comes out in 2022, and WildBrain is currently hiring a shitload of people. Do you think they've even started making it? Because you can spit 24 episodes out in a year. People can do it now.
I imagine it's probably a thing of like, yeah, they've probably written a lot of episodes and like maybe done like started storyboarding, but I have a feeling animation is either very early or possibly haven't even started. So
I imagine how you want to read into this, but someone on Twitter today confirmed they're working on the show and said they've been working on it for a while, which to me said maybe a few years.
Who's
maybe
someone?
But that could also just mean like we've just been trying to get this fucking deal in stone for so goddamn long.
Yeah, they could be a part of the pitching team, you know.
Yeah, they could have made like a pilot. They could have made like a 10 or 20 minute pilot, and that was where they put most of their effort in, and then yeah, just to sell it, and then now they're focusing on it like for reals.
The moment Boom died, they just could smell the blood, and they're like, "We're gonna make it, guys. We're gonna make the next Sonic. It's gonna be great." And they've just been working ever since.
Oh, sorry, I misread. The actual words were, "Man of Action Entertainment have been cooking this up for years."
Years.
Yeah.
Years.
Well, how long has Man of Action existed?
Years.
Oh, it says they started in 1999, so I guess they've been working on it since 1999.
Finally, a Sonic Adventure cartoon.
It takes a long time to get something approved in the first place, so you can count that as working on, you know?
Yeah.
Right, because it's not an original property. It's Sonic the Hedgehog, owned by Sega.
Yeah, I mean, like the Sonic movie has been worked on for years, but I mean, like they didn't actually start literally working on it until when they started like actually start production and filming, because you have that whole development of getting that film sold and writing the initial scripts that like get the approval, and then once that's all done, then they get to do the casting. That's when like development actually starts. So it's like there's a very different like case between pitching and selling versus like actually like an actual production.
Yeah.
So many years.
Their website is manofaction.tv. Why .tv?
I don't know.
Used to be
Have they updated their Facebook? Because they haven't touched their Twitter. Did they update? Does Man of Action update anything in the last 2 years?
Well, on their website, it does show the first thing you see is Ben 10. It says it's a $4.5 billion earning. Oh, it skipped over to something called Generator Rex. This Emmy award-winning series was created by Man of Action, and okay, we're
Emmy
moving on.
award-winning.
Marvel's Ultimate.
Man of Action Entertainment updated their Facebook cover photo 8 hours ago to the new Ben 10.
Oh.
Well, but did they say anything about Sonic on their Facebook?
MOA is super excited to finally get to share the news. We've been working with Sega on this project for literally years, and there's still a little while before it's released, but we wanted you to be the first to know.
How do you update a Facebook but not a Twitter? How do you do that?
They haven't updated the blog on their website since October of 2019.
Let me put it this way. On their social media icons, there is still a Google Plus icon.
Oh, wow.
So if you need to know anything.
They just... no one's running their socials? That's so weird.
The copyright on the bottom of their page is still 2020.
Pretty much all of their projects are like done under major, like they do stuff for other major studios, so it's more so like it feels like they're very much like people for hire guys. It's like they do the work when they hire them, but they don't feel like the need to push themselves anymore. It's like, yeah, when they do the Marvel stuff, they're like, oh, Marvel hires us to do this, we work on it, and then after it's done, then we just move on to the next thing.
But this is Sonic. We should be talking about
Hey, David, Sonic isn't the center of the universe.
Now,
Shut up,
I don't
Stefan.
know, the premise of Sonic Prime makes me think that he might be.
The last Instagram post was October 7th, 2019.
What premise? We have a sentence.
Right, multiverse and the title Sonic Prime. So
is the word multiverse anywhere in there?
It's in the
It's in a press release, I believe.
Yeah, the press release.
I haven't seen that. Can I see that?
I closed that tab, but I can find it for you, sir.
Oh, I think I still have it open. If I can
I remember the word multiverse.
Where is? I can figure out how mice work.
Yes. See. Oh, here we go. This is the room, right? Look, Sonic the Hedgehog speeds over to Netflix. That's what we said in the beginning of the episode. If I'm not careful, I'll loop over. You know what? I think there's an important question should ask. Does anyone think this will be good?
I feel like at this point it has to be.
I mean, I think it could be. Like, again, I don't think it's like, oh, it's automatically going to be bad or it's automatically going to be amazing. It's like, oh, I think it could be good, but again, like we haven't seen anything of it. I think once they show off, like once they finally get like some animation done and they put out a trailer and we see like what the actual plot is and how the animation looks, then I think we'll get a clearer idea of, oh, like what to expect. But right now, it's like, oh, like I feel like saying, oh, this is probably going to be bad is being really dismissive. It's like, oh, it's like there's nothing here that's going to inherently say, oh, this is going to be bad. It's like maybe you can feel a little bit like trepidatious, maybe like depending on how you're feeling about the companies and such, or maybe like just history of Sonic and Sega. But it's like on the general idea, it's like, oh, this has the potential to be good. So it's like be positive and wait until there's actually something to judge before judging.
I think that Sonic is one half of a relationship and the fans are the other half, and I feel like Sonic is the partner who keeps fucking up and every now and then has to do something really good to keep the other partner in the relationship. And I feel like this is one of those moments where it's like I fucked up too much lately. I need to get back on the train.
They've been away for a few years. They went to go stock car racing recently for some point. And we just haven't seen that much of you. And they're like, I know, I'll be back in a year. And we're like, what? It's like, don't worry, I'm changing. I'm really doing a lot of work on myself.
Yeah,
I'm a man of action. And we're like, okay. You got a wild brain, boy, but I'll give you another chance.
I feel like that's a great way to conclude this.
If you like Sonic, why not subscribe to FTCR? We don't, but if you do, we'll be in good company.
I think we all secretly love Sonic the Hedgehog and its many permutations.
That's the issue I'm going to close this out on as we end this. I want to love Sonic again. I've been playing the games recently and going, oh man, Sonic. I've been reading the wikis and remembering the good times I had with Sonic, and I'm just like, I'm ready to like Sonic again. I'm ready to be back fucking in it, poring over every detail, being miserable. I'm ready to be in the other half of that relationship, and I keep trying to be there over the last decade, and I just can't. I keep getting repulsed and pushed away, and I'm ready to be back fucking in it. So I hope the cartoon's good, and in 3 months when they announce the next game, I hope that looks good. Thank you all for hanging out with me for an hour, and thank you, the viewer, for listening to whatever the fuck this just was.
Hey, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for this latest FTCR, aka Find the Computer Room podcast video YouTube.